hope each and every one of you is doing absolutely good. Welcome to my channel, and today we are going to be discussing about a very extremely important topic regarding the human anatomy. Now, even though this topic is related to a morphological aspect, but still we will be dwelling into the vicinity of the anatomical part as well. Human physiology, to give you a brief introduction, is physiology can be divided into two major sectors, and those sectors are morphology and anatomy. Morphology being the external parts, the external features, position, structure, function, etc. So that's the simplest definition regarding morphology in physiological terms. Anatomy, on the other hand, is the more internal aspect, where we discuss about the various function of the internal components of any physiological matter. So that's the brief introduction that you will be looking for in this topic. Right on the board here is the generalized structure of the human heart. And this is actually the box diagram of the different chambers. We will be discussing about it later on. The tissue side and the lungs. Now, the brief introduction, we will be beginning with the position. The position of the heart, the most important organ of the human body. Without it, not a single living organism will be able to respire without. It's very one of the most overlooked organs, like whether it be in a physiological term, be it biological, be it with love, etc. So with that respect, heart is one of the most intriguing organs, one of my most favorite as well, because it is so complex and it is so versatile that no wonder it is very complex to learn its working. So the position of the heart. Now, what I will be telling you about is some axis, anatomical axis. Now, three major axes will be included whenever you're studying about human physiology or any other organism as well, such as, for example, frog, for example, any cockroach, for example, let's just say any bacterium, any prokaryote, any eukaryote. Axes are very important when you're looking at any organism from a certain point of view. Okay, bear with me now. Those three axes are, number one being, can you just imagine, I want to use your imagination as well. That in this world where you're experiencing a three-dimensional geometry, right? We're bound in three dimensions. The x-axis, this is the x-axis I'm walking on x-axis, the horizontal plane. And then I'm jumping, yeah? Now this is y-axis. And then I'm projecting my hand outward, the z-axis. Three dimensions, we are bound in a three-dimensional world. Imagine that respect for my body as well, for your body as well. Imagine it, right? So you can imagine this axis, you can imagine this axis, these two axes, and you can also imagine whenever you're working inside the body, up and down. So these are some important, very important terminological names. I'm telling these, I'm just writing here on the rough. One being the anterior or the anterior posterior axis, the anterior posterior axis. Second being the sagittal axis. You can overlook this one as well. This is not so important. You can overlook this one. And the third being the dorsoventral axis. I hope my spelling is not that of an issue. I hope. Pardon me if it is wrong so. Okay, now anterior posterior axis. Just to give you a feel about the concept. Anterior posterior. Anterior posterior. Anterior posterior means above and below. Above the body, below the body. Okay, so with respect to these axes, can you imagine that whether it will be vertical or horizontal? So it is a very basic concept, it will be definitely vertical. Good guess. So anterior posterior axis, the vertical axis. So imagine that this is my major body. This is the main thing that we'll be structuring about. Imagine that this is where my heart is located. Dead center in my, can you bring up any term? Yes, thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity is above or below what? It is above the diaphragm. It is above the diaphragm, and it is very important to know the position, whether it's left or right, or up or down, behind what, before what, beside and what. So these structural is the anatomical position of the heart. Anterior posteriorly, it is placed anteriorly above the diaphragm. Okay, it is placed anteriorly above the diaphragm, and it is placed dorsoventrally. Dorsoventrally. Dorsal and ventral. Dorsal means related towards the back. This area of the human side is the dorsal side, and this area is the ventral side. So it is placed ventrally behind the sternum. It is placed ventrally behind the sternum. Imagine this is the sternum and it is placed behind it. So that is the position of the heart. I'm going to pick up the pace now, because dorsal ventral axis or position of the heart is the basic structure. But the most important thing is that it is placed between the two lungs. It is very, very important to know that between the two lungs it is placed beside, tilted towards the left. Yeah, that is also a good question to come about, that why we feel that even though being in the center, we feel as if it is beating towards the left. Think. I want your attention in this topic. Think. Why are we feeling it as if it is beating towards the left even though it is placed dead center? Why? It is purely mathematical. Purely mathematical. Even maths is such an interesting topic to know about, that even we are studying about any biological term and yet maths is coming into play. The heart, placed dead center, still yet it is beating towards the left hand side. Good logic if you have figured it out. See, the heart is resembling a rough triangular shape. The lower end of the heart is resembling a rough triangular shape. Rough triangular shape. Yes, it's a rough triangular shape. So whenever the heart is beating, it's making most of its projecting force in this point itself. It's in the left ventricle. I'm going to come to it, the chambers later. This area is where the maximum pressure, the maximum systolic pressure, a new term, note it down. Systolic pressure is where this point is being generated. So the feeling is as if the heart is beating towards the left. Interesting topic, right? So this area is the cardiac notch. It's just to make it more on a magnifying axis. I'm going to rub this side now. Okay. Imagine that this is the left lung. On a rough diagram, this area is the cardiac notch. And this notch is not that much significant, but to make it more intriguing, I'm just placing it on a rough sketch. This is the area where the left hand side lower end is placed tilted towards the left lung. Now, another question, more and more questions are arising, that you are saying that I am viewing this plane in my point of view. In your point of view, you're watching this plane as if it should be like not left atrium or the left ventricle, it should be right atrium and right ventricle, right? Because come on, you're watching it from the left and right side point of view. Your right should be the papers or the planes right as well, because it's easier to understand, right? Absolutely wrong. Very, very misconception while you're studying human physiology. Again, the topic of axis will arise again. This is where another mathematical topic is arising, that note it down. It is extremely important for NEET and IAT and NEST exams as well, and even for board exams such as ICSE, not to mention. So the topic is, whenever you are studying human physiology, your point of view should be that your geometric right, I'm repeating, your geometric right must be the biological left. It's a thumb rule and it's a golden rule that must be followed while studying any organism. Because we study it not only for a practical basis. Not only on a practical basis, we'll be also studying about a theoretical pen and paper. So the mode is constant, the answer is constant, and the application is constant everywhere. It's like laterally inversed. Laterally inversed. The concept is the shifting of axis. The geometrical right will be the biological left. As simple as that. And on the contrary, the biological left will be the geometric right. Okay? And even though from the left hand side point of view, your geometric left will become the biological right, the biological right will become the geometric left. As simple as that. So, this is the position of the heart. Okay? Got it? Clear? If you do have any questions, then go in the comment box, and I'm free almost every time. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And even though if you still have not mixed the concept up, then you can rewind it, pause the video, think, and question yourself that what is this topic trying to make me understand. It is very, very important. Be actively participant in this. Okay. So we did understand about introduction, the position of the heart with respect to axis. Now what, sir? What is the next topic? What is it that is awaiting us? Can you think about anything? I mean, the position we have discussed it already. Yes, sir. Definitely. These. What is this structure? What are these? What are these vessels? What is the name? What does it do? Come on. That's what we're going to be discussing about. So, the most important blood vessel of the body is this structure right here. I'm going to highlight it now. Just going to highlight it. It's this structure. This area. Okay. Viewed it. So, the name of this vessel is aorta. Note it down. It's aorta. Now, not only it is called aorta, but specifically, it is actually called the aortic arch because it is arching downwards. Its main arch is downwards because it has to supply, because heart is placed on a higher axis as compared to our body's height from the ground level, right? So, its main purpose is to be supplying toward the lower parts of the body as well. So that is why it is more like an arch. And these two apertures, actually three apertures, will be supplying the oxygenated blood towards the upper portion of the body, the head. Okay. Again, this will be the abdomen, this will be the thoracic. It is placed dead center in the thoracic. Okay. That is the aorta. Next name would be these. These are the pulmonary veins. These two and these two right here. Okay. Now the word pulmonary will be referring to about, any idea? Like we do know that the word hepatic is for the liver, the word renal is for the kidney, the word cardiac is for heart. Similarly, it is the scientific anatomical term for lungs is pulmonary. We always use pulmonary behind as a prefix to determine the locant of an organ, that is the lungs. Okay. So the pulmonary veins and the aorta. Second thing that what we will be discussing about is, any idea what is left now? These two branches. So this area is the inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava. And this is, if this is inferior, then by default this should be superior. Good common sense, very good. Then this must be superior vena cava. These two are also very important, extremely important for board exams, I would suppose, because this topic is very, very repeated in ICSE board exams. Not to mention it, but still. So, another name is also that that vessel is called pre-caval and this is called post-caval. Just the actual opposite of the other. They're like siblings, if you can term it that way. We name the aorta, we name the pulmonary veins, we name the vena cavas, and what is left is this. This is called the pulmonary trunk. And you can also name it as the pulmonary artery, but for the left lung, because it is flowing towards the left hand side of the body. Like I said, the geometric right is the biological left. Good. So this is the pulmonary trunk and it is flowing towards the left lung. Extremely important. And right over here, I'm just going to extend this marker point. This is the left. I'm sorry. This should not be left. Oh, okay. This should be the right pulmonary artery. It is flowing towards the right lung. As simple as that. So we named all these. We named all the external blood vessels that is attached to the heart. Now, what are these structures? These branching tree structures. Now, this is very important. Without this, the heart itself won't survive. Basic common sense. Biology is all about common sense, playing with the words, prefix and suffix, and you can get more than half of your answers just by the name itself. And it's a guarantee that I can give you. Just by the name itself, you can guarantee your answer in your question paper or in any other quizzes, even in Olympiad level as well. So it's a very good scoring thing that if you had ever picked up biology or human physiology as your interest. Now these branches are the coronary arteries and veins. Coronary arteries and veins. The main purpose of these vessels, what is the main purpose of any blood vessel? It's like a grade 8 or grade 7 type question. I hope you know the answer to this. So the entire human body is consisting of a closed circulatory system. I know you're aware of it. It's a closed circulatory system, and for that to be closed, we need blood vessels, because without the vessels, it would be open, right? Like for example, cockroach. It is having an open circulatory system. So this, to be a closed circulatory system, we need vessels for the conduction of blood towards various parts of the body. Okay. Now the purpose of each and every blood vessels. Each and every blood vessel will be conducting about the purpose of two types of blood. Not two separate types of blood. It's a very controversial area. But still, two being oxygenated blood, that is rich in O2, and the second being deoxygenated blood, but that doesn't imply that the blood is actually totally devoid of oxygen. No, that's a misconception. It will be 90 to 95% devoid or lacking of oxygen, and the rest being rich in carbon dioxide and other impurities. I hope you got the concept. Deoxygenated and oxygenated. Not totally. Okay. If it had been totally 100% consumed in oxygen or concentrated in oxygen, then it is impossible that any other diffusion would be occurring. I will come back. It's a very complex topic, but still I will be discussing about it in the future videos on, especially in the circulatory topic. So, deoxygenated and oxygenated blood. The purpose of the arteries and veins. Okay. Arteries. Now, arteries, if you can observe in your hand itself, in this area, in the wrist area, you can be seeing that there is something that is blue. Some blue lines and red lines. Now, these are the vessels, of course. Now, veins are actually superficial. It is closer to the skin surface. Henceforth, it is wider in diameter. It is having a wider lumen to conduct the greater pressure conducted by the heart. Again, this is a circulatory topic, not related to the morphology, but still to give you a gist of the actual thing, because these two vessels are actually related to circulation. Without circulation, any blood vessel will be devoid of the concept. Okay. Now the aorta will be providing oxygenated blood. The aorta will be providing oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. Veins will be containing deoxygenated blood, but again, another question is arising. What does it mean that pulmonary vein? We should have termed it as vein, right? But no, you'll be asking that, sir, this should be biology, right? We have to give certain terminological terms to each and every blood vessel, but no. There is reason behind all of this. It's a certified reason behind all of this. And the reason is that pulmonary word, they used as a prefix, it will revert the core meaning of the suffix itself. That means it will revert the meaning of the suffix being the vein and the suffix being the artery. The artery. So pulmonary vein, now veins do carry deoxygenated blood. Good point. So pulmonary vein will be carrying oxygenated blood. On the contrary, if it is pulmonary artery, arteries carry generally, commonly oxygenated blood. So pulmonary artery will be carrying deoxygenated blood. Okay. I hope you have got it right. The type of blood is discussed. The veins have been discussed. The arteries have been discussed. Again, the direction of the blood flow. Again, it's a circulatory topic, not related to the morphology of the human heart, but basically I have covered till this point. Now, removing all of these misconceptions that you had previously on before entering this video, this is the main criteria. This is the main criteria of the video, being that the four chambers of the heart. The four chambers of the heart: the right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. Very, very important. Now, if you will see that by default, I've written lungs and the tissue right here to give you a short trick. It's a very good trick to remember the flow of the blood from these three sites of exchanges. Okay, so basically, I will be writing some key points over here. Just, if you had written this, I'm going to rub this out to make space. So I think the space has been made. The first key point is the left hand side chambers always carry oxygenated blood. Secondly, right hand side chambers always carry deoxygenated blood. Okay, these 2 points are very important to note. Now, I am not going to be discussing about what are these, because these are related to the anatomy of the heart. Don't worry, video will be out soon, so do check that out as well. Now, as per you know that these areas are the blood vessels that I talked about earlier on. Be it aorta, be it pulmonary artery, be it pulmonary veins, be it vena cavas, etc. etc. Now, but these are valves. Okay. Now use your main logic. Without knowing the topic as well, just use your logic and tell me honestly that without the valve, whether can be differentiate between oxygenated and deoxygenated blood without the valve. Think. Think carefully and tell me the answer. Give your brain the time to think by your own. That without the valve, can we differentiate between oxygenated and deoxygenated blood? Now there are two main purposes of valves here. Again, it's very superficial to be discussing in this video itself because time is always a factor, but still to give you a brief idea, without valve, yes, mixing of blood will take place. The mixing of blood will take place, and without any septum. Septum means septum. Septum means a muscular wall that separates the left hand side and the right hand side chambers. So the septum will generally lie in this area. The septum will generally lie in this area. These are the main regions where septums lie. Now you'll be thinking that why the septums are on this area as well. To think carefully, whenever the heart is relaxing, that means there is a negative pressure with respect to the outside pressure as well. Now, blood is what? Blood is a fluid. Blood is a fluid being, it has a tendency to flow. So, fluid will be flowing from a region of higher pressure to a lower pressure. Now, negative pressure will be meaning that with respect to an area of a high pressure, the pressure inside that respective region is negative pressure. Not that the magnitude or the direction is being considered, no. That's a misconception. With respect to an area of higher altitude or higher pressure or a higher area of concentration, with that respect area, the current concept that we are talking about will be negative. So this blood, whenever it is relaxing, whenever it is in diastolic condition, another new term, whenever it is relaxing and it is in diastolic condition, blood will flow inside the heart, and if it flows without the valve, a greater pressure will be exerted in this area. Use it logic. Without the valve, this area will be open, blood will be flowing inside with a greater pressure, it will be directly hitting towards the left ventricle. So valve is also helping to maintain the intracardiac pressure. Yes, good point to be understanding. Okay. Now the trick. What is the trick, sir? The trick is that you are confusing about from where to where the blood is being flowing, right? A good brief idea is to think of it like an infinity loop. My audience who are very daily dwellers of mathematics, they will be very considerable about this topic, that why infinity loop is being used in this topic. Is this bogus or what? No. It is a very cute trick that you'll be applying if you have trouble remembering the flow of the blood. So your initial point of this loop will be according to your choice. But my general recommendation is to start here at the right atrium. Okay? Now imagine that this is your starting point. Blood will flow first through the valve to right ventricle. Now the right ventricle, like I said, the right chambers are deoxygenated. So for deoxygenation, we always send the blood to the lungs, where the CO2 will be exhaled out from the lungs and oxygen will be pumped in the blood, where the exchange site, if you're guessing it right, it is the alveoli. It is the alveoli where the exchange of gases will be taking place. Again, it is circulatory related, not exactly to morphology, but just it is a very important thing to understand to give you just idea. If you get the trailer before the movie itself, then the movie's actual flavor will be much more enjoyable. Okay. Now, from the right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood will go first to the lungs. Okay. It will first go to the lungs. It will get purified. And from there it will then reach the left atrium. Okay. And from the left atrium, it will then flow to the left ventricle at a very high pressure. The left ventricle will be ejecting, it will conduct a systolic pressure, and the ventricle in systolic condition, it will pump the blood from left ventricle from the heart to the tissue, where the tissue will get all the nutrients, all the necessary minerals, all the necessary, let's just say, oxygen, and it will give out the rest of the impurities that it had collected from the previous circulation. It's a considerable cycle, it is an infinite circular cycle till the end of your life. Okay. So from the tissue itself, the blood will then flow again This will be the direction. From the tissue, it will then again reach the right atrium. It is still kind of resembling an infinite loop. So I think it will be easier for you to understand and remember the circulation of the blood. Even though it is a very childish concept and a childish approach, but still it will go a long way if you actually learn it carefully. Okay. So this is the basic concept of morphology of the human heart. Not only human heart, sometimes it is near about similar to mammalian heart as well. Okay, these two key points are very important for you to remember. Okay, in the next video we'll be discussing about the circulation, where each chamber will be discussed on a very depth level. It will be very innate, it will be very conceptual, and maximum students who rely on rote learning on biology will find it very easier to understand that how quickly they can remember this complex topic. Okay. So, as you know, the actual topic, it has been going about for the past 30 hours now. I'm going to give you something flavorful for your mind to think about. It is just something extra information which will help you to get the actual interest of the subject. And science being such a vast world of variety of topics with endless limits, biology seems to be having a certain limit, especially anatomy. It is having certain limits to certain topics, so it is very easier to understand, it is very easier to score in exams, and it is even easier to grasp the main gist of the concept. So the extra information is that, like I said in the beginning of the video, that heart is this generalized structure, right? It is general in nature. Now, what if I told you that why am I actually calling it generalized actually? What is the main motive behind calling it generalized? Now, there is actually a very unfortunate disorder that many of the people suffer with, even though it is called many because the magnitude with respect to the population of the world is very high. So, in general terms, again, it is called a rare disorder that is especially called dextrocardia. Dextrocardia. Dextrocardia is when, as I told you earlier about, heart is placed on the dead center, placed towards tilted in the left hand side, right? But from dextrocardia, it is placed towards the right hand side. Many of you have seen movies where the villain has died because it had its bullet stuck in the heart, but in the left hand side, but the hero survived because his heart was suffering from dextrocardia and it was placed on the right hand side. Okay, that's something illogical to talk about, but still to help you get interested in the topic is dextrocardia, where the heart is placed tilted towards the right hand side. So that is a very interesting topic, dextrocardia. Not only it is called, sometimes it is called a blessing to have it because it's so rare and it is very hard to find it in people. So dextrocardia is the actual topic of this. Now, from the beginning of the video, you will see that what is this structure right here. Testing your patience right now. What is this blue marked thing over here? It is very confusing to me, sir. I don't know if you're teaching us wrong or the diagram itself is wrong, but no, there is always a motive behind something. There is never any wrong method to do the right thing. So this is actually called, I'm going to mark this as A. Now this A is actually, I'm just marked it as A because there is not enough space. I hope you will be easier to understand. Now this A is actually called ligamentum arteriosum. Ligamentum arteriosum. Now this emerged from a congenital issue. Now this is a very interesting story that whenever there was a time that you, my viewer, you were a fetus. When you were a fetus, your heart was on the initial stages of growing. Imagine that how interesting that it is that from small being, you are now a living being of carrying such a powerful organ. Okay. Now ligamentum arteriosum is actually a ligament, that is a ligamental structure that is joining the aorta and the pulmonary trunk. Okay. Now it rised from ductus arteriosum. Ductus arteriosum was that when you were a fetus in the womb itself, this ligamentum arteriosum was a duct where blood was actually fused from the aorta and the pulmonary trunk itself. These two blood vessels were fused together by a duct, and that duct was called as ductus arteriosum. Now, as you were growing, as you were dividing, as you were multiplying in cells, you were growing consistently, the body did not yet find the use of keeping this ductus anymore. So this ductus got transformed into the ligamentum arteriosum, and till date, many people still have it. This was the actual concept and why I had kept this till the last end. It's a very interesting topic and very fascinating as well, that from where to where cells actually divide. Now again, a very interesting topic that we have come across is, why do some cells not divide? Some cells, after reaching a point, how do they know that it is my time to stop dividing and to be metabolically active? Now this term is actually related to a botanical point of view, where we discuss about mitotic cell divisions. Now, every organ in our body is somatic in nature. Not some. Apart from reproductive organs, every other organ is somatic in nature. Somatic in nature being able to divide by itself. Able to divide, that means during mitotic cell division, we come across a cell stage called G0 phase. This G0 phase is called cell quiescence. Cell quiescence means after dividing, after the cardiac cells have begun dividing, the cells of the heart, now cells we derive from tissue, right? Now this is called the principle of emergence. It's a very interesting topic. I'm not dwelling on it now because it will take a lot of time. Because cell quiescence is actually emerging from a principle called the principle of emergence, where cells give rise to tissues, tissues give rise to organs, organs give rise to organ system actually, and from organ system it arises to an organism from underlying factors. So this G0 phase, the cell quiescence, is happening after a phase called M phase, or the mitotic phase. That means after the cell had divided, after the completion of karyokinesis and cytokinesis, this cardiac cell will enter this phase, G0 phase, where it will remain metabolically active but won't divide any further. That means it has totally ended cell division and it has continuing its metabolical activity. Another example for this phenomena is that neurons, nerve cells. Now nerve cells are not actually able to divide. They are not capable of neurogenesis because of this factor, G0 phase. It's a very interesting factor as well. If you do have time, go into Google, go into any other platform and do some homework and research for this topic. And I'm sure you'll be finally fascinated by this topic. One of my favorite topics is G0 phase. So this is the actual term, that why the heart knows, why the heart cells actually know that it's my time to stop dividing. And it is actually for this cause that I told you about the ligamentum arteriosum. That is why it had stopped dividing earlier on, while you were a fetus. So this is actually the main topic. This is the concept. Another concept that you might be asking about is the types of circulation, to be discussed in the future video, but still to give you a brief trailer. A brief trailer being, there are two types of circulation that are happening simultaneously in this diagram itself only. This area, let's just say this is area 1, and this area, this is termed as area X, for example, a variable. This area, the circulation is happening between the tissue and the heart. Y is termed as systemic circulation. Systemic circulation. And X over here, okay, I'm just going to rub out this area to make space. This X, that is the circulation happening between the lungs and the heart. It is called pulmonary circulation. We will be discussing a lot about this topic in the next video. But just to give you an idea, that this area between the tissue or any organ or any cell between this heart is the systemic circulation, and from the lungs and the heart is the pulmonary circulation. Okay. I hope you understood the concept. It was very tiring for my side as well. I had given my absolute best in making you feel interested in this topic, and I hope you will like my efforts. And definitely, if you have any issues, any doubts regarding this concept, if I had myself, being a human, made any mistake in delivering this content to you, please go in the chat comment section and please share your thoughts. And again, please do like, share, and subscribe, because it's a very, very active channel, and I will be growing towards very, very new concepts on a daily basis or a weekly basis. I'm giving you content about every scientific aspect as possible. This is the main concept right now. But no, not yet. Endgame has not occurred yet. Right now I'm gonna give you some questions. Pause the screen itself, and try these questions on your own. And I will be giving you a surprise that if you are able to solve these questions on your own, that means the content has been delivered with safety to you. Alright, so learn the concept, went through different exceptions, went to the depth of the morphology, got a grist idea of the circulation, different type of circulation in the heart. Now it is time for the challenge. Without facing any challenge, the concept will be lying a simple message towards you, and you won't be able to apply. Knowledge without application is completely useless. So apply your knowledge, what you have learned throughout the 40 minutes in these 3 questions. Pause the question to give you the concept. Some words will be not known to you, but if you know the correct answer, you'll be able to correct it right away. So pause the video again, pause it, be honest to yourself, and wait for the answers to be revealed. Go ahead, pause the video. Okay, you did it? Time for the answer. So the drum roll begins with the first question. Arteries are best defined as vessels. The arteries are best defined as vessels. Now, you will consider it about the topic that why am I not being very considerate about these questions? Like I said, there is a surprise for you that would be revealed regarding these 3 questions. And these 3 questions are very, very repetitive in nature, because sometimes these questions actually make sense in competitive exams and board level exams as well. So the question is that these 3 questions will be giving you the entire 40 minutes of knowledge completely combined through options, through the answer, or through the question itself. To go to the first option is that arteries are best defined as vessels where they supply oxygenated blood to different organs. Okay. Second option is carry blood away from the heart to different organs. Okay. Break up into capillaries which unite to form a vein. No, that is not a best definition, so we will rule out this one. Not the best definition. We had found these 2 as the better ones. And they carry blood from a visceral organ to another visceral organ. Absolutely wrong. Now to give you an idea about the word visceral, alright. The word visceral actually means it is a scientific name for internal. On basic terms, it is actually referring to the word internal. Scientific name, playing of words, that's biology for you. Okay, so visceral is visceral to another visceral organ. So why is it wrong, sir? Why is it absolutely wrong? Our eye is not a visceral organ, it is an external organ, it is a sensory organ. That means blood is being supplied to our eye, the blood is being supplied to our teeth, to our skin. Our sensory organs are external in nature. Then if they did not receive blood, if they did not receive nutrients, if they did not receive oxygen, then they would be dead. It would be inexistent in our body. Use your logic, yeah? So these 2 options are definitely wrong. It is absolutely wrong, right? Now these two options are very similar in nature. First is that supply oxygenated blood to different organs. What did I teach you in the first 20 to 30 minutes? Pulmonary. The word pulmonary prefix is used behind another suffix to revert the meaning of the code. That is, pulmonary veins, they carry oxygenated blood. Pulmonary arteries carry deoxygenated blood. So it does not always carry oxygenated blood. So this means from basic elimination, this option is wrong. We get our best definition as this option B is your correct answer. Congratulations if you had marked the answer correctly from the beginning. Carry blood away from the heart to different organs. Basic simple definition as best as it gets. Congratulations. Now the second question, very basic. I think you have already got this one correct without actually knowing the answer as well, because arteries carry oxygenated blood, except from this question only you have got it that the pulmonary will be the right answer. Okay. Any doubts? I hope not. Okay. These two are similar in nature. If you know this concept, then this would be a piece of cake for you. To test your flexibility in the concept, I had given this question. No need to go through elimination method in this question. Basic application will be your go-to method for this question. The most important question now. This is the best of the three. The systemic heart refers to. Systemic. The word systemic is your keyword over here. Now, like I told you that the systemic, if it is ringing any bell in your mind, that in the point where I gave you the extra information towards the ending, I told you that there are two types of circulation, pulmonary and systemic. Pulmonary and systemic. Recall the word systemic. Okay. So I am recalling it. I'm recalling it. No, I'm not getting the answer. Okay. So systemic is referring from the infinity loop, the trick I told you about. The infinity loop, starting at the right atrium, going into the lungs, then reaching from the right ventricle, then going through the lungs and reaching towards the left ventricle, then the left atrium, the left ventricle, and then it is reaching the tissue. Okay, this was the infinity loop that I was telling you about. Now between this region, it is the systemic circulation between the tissue and the left ventricle. Okay, so I think you've got the answer. Entire heart in lower vertebrates, that is a concept that you'll be worrying about, but no. Lower vertebrate means that is below the kingdom, below a certain phylum, below a certain class, below a certain family, below certain divisions in the animal kingdom. So below us, being us in the top of the food chain, we are seeing frogs, we are seeing birds, crocodiles, lions, etc. etc. These are lower vertebrates. Yeah. So lower vertebrates means they will have an entire heart with systemic. No. The exception is the topic of heart, where it is a combination of open and closed circulation. I will tell you about this topic, and it is actually present in the structure organization chapter in class 11 biology under the Indian education system. So that is actual location of the topic where it exists. So this won't be the actual answer. We can eliminate it right away. The two ventricles together. Okay. That is a very thing to know about. The two ventricles together. The two ventricles means right ventricle and left ventricle including. But no, the right ventricle is participating in pulmonary circulation. So we cannot take the two ventricles together. So we can rule out this one as well. The third option, the heart that contracts under stimulation from the nervous system. Come on, that is referring to the entire circulation, the entire systolic and diastolic conditions of the chambers of the heart. But that is not referring to systemic circulation. We cannot find this link. Yes? So we can rule out this one. And from basic elimination again, you have found your answer, option D. And it is logical as well. In higher vertebrates means mammals, lions, us, humans, apes, monkeys. From there, left auricle and left ventricle. Left auricle, left ventricle within the tissue, systemic circulation. You got your answer. Congratulations again, and thank you for your time. Seriously, it has been your patience that you have stayed till the end of the video, and you have challenged yourself with this fantastic question. Now, for the surprise that you are waiting for is, these three questions were actually not being made from my own, not from any other book other than NCERT. That is, the first question, it is from the All India Pre-Medical Test 2011 question paper. The second question is from All India Pre-Medical Test 1989, very old one at that. Seriously, it is 1989, which means it is at least, it has to be 40 years old right now. Now, All India Pre-Medical Test 2003. So, very, very proud of you. Definitely, it is a very good thing to be proud of yourself, because not only were you able to consume the content on a very disciplined and a very motivated point of view, but still you will also be perfectly applicant on the concepts that you learned from these three previous year questions on All India Medical Test 2003, 1989 and 2011. Not a matter of joke, definitely not a matter of joke, because it's a very competitive nature of the question. It is using certain techniques, certain application, and it is definitely using a lot of conceptual learning. So being in this environment where everybody is used to learning and you are being habituated to conceptual application is a very good thing to be proud of, seriously. So again, thank you for your time. please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel and help this channel grow so that it reaches the correct people with the correct content in the correct time. So that's all for today. I'm going to meet you in the next video where I'll be talking about the circulation and different chambers of the heart and different other uses and functions of the